Ambassador Zethkree's 4 eyes blinked in confusion as he stared at the communication panel. The blue lights that showed active channels from Earth had gone dark. All of them. "Check the systems again," he ordered his assistant, a young Vrax, named Trillon. His scaly hands moved quickly over the controls, pressing buttons and turning dials. "Sir, all systems are working perfectly. The problem is not on our end." Zethkree felt a cold sensation run down his spine. In his 200 years of serving the Galactic Council, he had never seen humanity go completely silent. Not once. Earth was always talking, always sending messages. The humans loved to chat, trade, share their strange entertainment programs, and ask a million questions about everything. They were like excited children who had just discovered the galaxy was full of friends. But now, nothing. "When did it start?" Zethkree asked. Trillon checked his records. 3 days ago, sir. The last transmission was a routine trade update about wheat exports to the Centauri colonies. Zethkree walked to the great window that looked out over the council chambers. Below him, representatives from 1,000 different species went about their daily business. The tall, crystal-like beings from Zerion floated past. The small, furry Nectons scurried between the larger species' legs. Everything seemed normal, except for the empty Earth section. "Sir," Trillon called out, "I'm getting reports from other departments. Trade Office says all human merchant ships have stopped responding. The Defense Ministry reports that human patrol fleets have withdrawn from all border sectors. Even the human embassy staff here has packed up and left." This was very strange. Humans never withdrew from anything. They were always pushing forward, always expanding, always trying to help someone. Just last month, human engineers had volunteered to fix the water systems on 3 different colony worlds. "Send an emergency probe to Earth," Zethkree ordered. "We need to know what's happening." 2 hours later, the probe's signal went dead just outside the solar system. "What happened to it?" Zethkree demanded. Trillon's face was pale. "It was destroyed, sir, by human defense systems. They shot it down without any warning." Zethkree sat down heavily in his chair. Humans didn't shoot down diplomatic probes. They didn't even shoot down enemy probes most of the time. They usually captured them and sent them back with a polite note asking people to ask first next time. "Send another probe. Use the emergency diplomatic codes." The second probe met the same fate. "Sir," Trillon said quietly, "there's something else. We're getting reports from across the galaxy. Human-built technology is starting to malfunction." "What do you mean?" "The hyperspace beacon network in the outer rim has gone dark. The Trilaxian Empire says their fleet engines are having problems. The food processing plants on New Geneva have stopped working." Zethkree's blood turned to ice. The humans had helped build or design most of that technology. They were always so generous with their knowledge, so eager to help other species improve their lives. He activated his personal communication device and tried to call Ambassador Sarah Chen directly. She had been Earth's representative to the Council for 20 years. They were friends. She would answer him. The device beeped with an error message. "Communication channel not found." "Get me Council Leader Mordun," Zethkree ordered. "Emergency meeting. Now." Within an hour, the inner circle of the Galactic Council was assembled. 12 of the most powerful species in the galaxy sat around a circular table. Their faces showed worry and confusion. Council Leader Mordun, an ancient being whose species was so old they had forgotten their original name, spoke first. "What is the situation, Ambassador Zethkree?" "Humanity has gone completely silent. 3 days ago, all communication stopped. They've shot down our emergency probes. Human ships and personnel across the galaxy are withdrawing to Earth space." "Withdrawing?" asked General Vaxone of the Krillian military. "Humans don't withdraw. They barely understand the concept. Furthermore," Zethkree continued, "human-designed technology across the galaxy is beginning to fail. We may have a major crisis on our hands." The council members looked at each other nervously. The Korthax representative, a being made of living metal, spoke up. "Perhaps this is a technical problem. The humans are always upgrading their systems." "No. said the ethereal representative, a cloud of energy in a containment suit. I have checked. This is deliberate. The human technology isn't failing randomly. It's specifically disrupting systems that benefit non-human species. A long silence fell over the room. What was the last council vote that involved Earth? Mordun asked slowly. Zethkri checked his records. His face went white. The Kepler 442 relocation decision, 3 months ago. The room went completely quiet. Everyone remembered that vote. The council had decided to relocate the human colony on Kepler 442 to make room for a Trilaxian mining operation. It was a good deal. The Trilaxians would pay enormous amounts of money, and the few thousand human colonists could be moved to another planet. It was a practical decision. Business was business. The vote had been 847 to 1. Only Earth had voted against it. Ambassador Chen seemed upset during that session, remembered the Deltarian representative. She said something about family. The colonists on Kepler 442, Zethkri, said quietly. They were mostly human children and elderly, families who had lived there for generations. They didn't want to leave. They were offered compensation, General Vaxun pointed out. Very generous compensation. Humans are strange about their homes, the ethereal observed. They become emotionally attached to places. Mordun stood up slowly. What exactly did Ambassador Chen say when the vote was concluded? Zethkri pulled up the records. Ambassador? Chen's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired and sad. Her voice was calm, but there was something in her eyes that made Zethkri uncomfortable to watch. We tried peaceful coexistence. We tried diplomacy. We tried compromise. You mistake our patience for weakness. Don't contact us again until you're ready to return our people. The screen went black. She said one more thing. Zethkri added quietly. After the transmission ended, someone picked up her words on an open channel. She said, when someone stops talking, start listening. The council members stared at each other in growing alarm. Outside the windows, the lights that normally showed Earth's position on the galactic map had gone completely dark. 3 months earlier, Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the massive council chamber. 848 species watched her from their floating platforms. The decision they were about to make would change everything, but they didn't know it yet. The vote on Resolution 7743 regarding Kepler 442 relocation begins now, announced Council Leader Mordun. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she held her voting device. She had spent months trying to convince the council not to do this. She had shown them pictures of the children playing in the crystal caves. She had played recordings of the elderly humans singing traditional Earth songs under Kepler's twin suns. She had explained how these families had been there for 5 generations. None of it mattered. The Trilaxians had offered too much money, rare metals that would make certain council members very wealthy. The humans on Kepler 442 were just in the way. Species vote now, Mordun commanded. One by one, the lights turned green around the chamber. Yes. 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 Move the humans. Take their homes. Give the planet to the miners. Sarah watched her people on the screens. Little Maria, age 6, who collected colorful rocks from the caves. Old Tom, 93, who had planted the first apple tree on Kepler and still tended his orchard. The Henderson family, who had built their farm with their own hands and grown food that fed half the colony. All of them would lose everything. The final count appeared on the main screen, 847 in favor, 1 against. Only Earth had voted to protect. The humans of Kepler 442 Council Leader Mordun nodded. The resolution passes. The human colonists will be relocated within 6 months. The Trilaxian Mining Consortium may begin operations immediately after. Sarah stood up slowly. The chamber fell silent. Everyone was looking at her. I have something to say, she announced. The vote is finished, Ambassador Chen. Mordun replied. There is no more debate. This isn't a debate, Sarah said quietly. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. This is a goodbye. She activated her personal transmitter. Her words would go directly to Earth, to every human ship in space. To every human colony across the galaxy. My fellow humans, she began. Today the Galactic Council voted to steal our people's homes. 847 species decided that human lives, human families, human children don't matter. They chose money over people. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several ambassadors looked uncomfortable. We came to the galaxy with open hands, Sarah continued. We shared our technology. We helped build their cities. We healed their sick. We taught their children. We asked for nothing but friendship and respect. Her voice grew stronger. We fixed their broken machines when they couldn't. We mediated their wars when they fought. We fed their hungry when they were selfish. We did all of this because we believed in a better future. A future where different species could live together in peace. Sarah looked directly at Morden. But you don't want partners. You want servants. You don't want friends. You want workers who will smile and say yes when you steal from them. She pressed another button on her device. Across the galaxy, human ships began to change course. Colonies started shutting down non-essential operations. Research stations prepared for evacuation. We tried peaceful coexistence, Sarah said. We tried diplomacy. We tried compromise. You mistake our patience for weakness. Ambassador Zethkri stood up. Sarah, please, we can discuss this. Find another solution. Sarah looked at him sadly. Zethkri had always been kind to her. They had shared many conversations about art and philosophy. But he had voted yes too. Don't contact us again, she said slowly, until you're ready to return our people. She turned off her transmitter and walked toward the exit. The chamber remained silent. 848 species watched one human woman leave. At Tiu, the door, she paused and looked back. You know something interesting? She called out. In all your civilizations, in all your histories, you've never learned the most important lesson about humans. What lesson? Asked General Vaxoon. Sarah smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. When someone stops talking, start listening. Then she left. Within hours, every human in the chamber's diplomatic section had packed their belongings and departed. The human embassy closed. The human trade office shut down. The human cultural center went dark. Ambassador Zethkri tried to call Sarah that evening. The call wouldn't connect. The next morning, reports began coming in from across the galaxy. Human merchant ships had left their trade routes and were heading for Earth. Human researchers were abandoning their projects and returning home. Human doctors were leaving hospitals. Human engineers were walking away from construction sites. But they weren't just leaving. They were taking their knowledge with them. The hyperspace beacon network that connected the galaxy, humans had designed most of it. The power systems that kept space stations running. Human engineering, the computer systems that managed trade and communications, built on human programming languages. The medical equipment that saved millions of lives, based on human biological research. The food production systems that fed dozens of worlds, human agricultural science. For 200 years, humans had been quietly becoming essential to galactic civilization, not through conquest or demands, but through helpfulness and hard work. They had made themselves the people everyone relied on, and now they were all going home. On Earth, President Martinez received Sarah's full report. He closed the file and looked out his window at the blue sky. How long do we wait? Asked Secretary of Defense Wang. Until they give us back our people, Martinez replied. Every single one of them. And if they try to force us? Martinez smiled the same sad smile Sarah had worn in the council chamber. Zethkri is a good man. He'll figure it out eventually. They all will. Figure out what, sir? That we weren't just participating in their civilization. We were holding it together. The last human ship left council space that night. Behind them, they left 847 species who still thought they were in charge. They were about to learn. Otherwise, 2 weeks after the humans went silent, the first crisis hit. Captain Vextar of the Vrax Empire was proud of his ship. The Star Thunder was the newest battle cruiser in their fleet. Its engines could push it faster than any ship in the galaxy. Human engineers had upgraded them 6 months ago. Jump to hyperspace, Vextar ordered. His crew pressed the controls. The engines hummed and then stopped. Sir, the engines are offline, reported his second officer. What? Run diagnostics. The main screen lit up with error messages, all in human code, all requiring human authorization passwords to fix. Get me engineering, Vextar snapped. Chief Engineer Grexel climbed onto the bridge. His scale-covered face was worried. Captain, all the upgrades the humans installed are locked down. We can't access them. The ship still works, but only at basic speed. How basic? About 1/10 of our normal capacity. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. On New Geneva, the massive food processing plants suddenly shut down. Warning signs appeared in human writing on every screen. The automated systems that fed 12 billion people had gone silent. On Zarian Prime, the crystal cities that floated in the sky began to slowly sink. The anti-gravity systems based on human physics theories were failing one by one. In the Korthax Empire, every computer system that used human programming languages started displaying the same message. System locked. Contact Earth for assistance. But nobody could contact Earth. The Sol system had gone completely dark. General Vaxon stormed into Council Leader Morden's office. His usual calm was gone. This is a disaster, he announced. Half my fleet is stranded. Our communications with border systems are failing. The humans sabotaged everything. The humans didn't sabotage anything, Morden said quietly. He had been thinking about this for days. They just removed their help. Through the door came Admiral Thexori of the Deltarian Navy. She looked equally frustrated. My ships can barely move, she reported. Turns out the humans had been quietly upgrading our engines for decades. We didn't even know how much we depended on their modifications until they were gone. More reports came in every hour. The Trilaxian mining ships discovered their advanced drilling equipment wouldn't work. Human-designed computers controlled the precision systems. Without human technicians, the miners were stuck with basic equipment that would take years to extract what they wanted. The Nekton homeworld faced food shortages. Their agricultural systems relied on human genetic modifications to grow crops in their harsh environment. The plants were dying. Dr. Krellin of the Ethereal Council reviewed the data with growing horror. This is impossible, she whispered. How did we not see this? Her assistant, a young energy being named Flux, flickered nervously. See what, Doctor? Look at these reports. Trade networks failing. Communications breaking down. Life support systems on space stations going offline. Defense grids shutting down. Everything that makes our civilization work, the humans built it or helped design it. Flux reviewed the data streams. But surely we had our own technology first. Dr. Krellin pulled up historical records. Yes, we did. But look at the improvement rates. Every time humans joined a project, efficiency increased by 50 to 200%. They didn't force their technology on us. They just made everything better. On the council station itself, problems were mounting. The water recycling systems had developed faults. The power distribution grid was failing. Even the gravity generators showed signs of stress. Ambassador Zethkri sat in his office, staring at reports from across the galaxy. The scope of the crisis was becoming clear. Without humans, galactic civilization was slowly grinding to a halt. Sir, Trillon entered the room. I have the analysis you requested. The breakdown of critical systems by species origin. Tell me. 67% of all galactic infrastructure has some human component. 89% of interstellar communication relies on human-built relay systems. 94% of deep space navigation uses human mathematical models. Zethkri felt sick. What about the things we built ourselves? They still work, sir, but they're much less efficient. Ships move slower. Communication takes longer. Food production is reduced. It's like the galaxy stepped backward 200 years. But that wasn't the worst part. On the outer rim, the savage sector where pirates and raiders lived, they were thriving. Without human patrol ships and monitoring systems, lawless groups moved freely. Pirates attacked merchant vessels. Raiders landed on peaceful farming worlds. The Galactic Defense Force tried to respond, but their ships were slow and their communications were unreliable. Response times that used to be hours now took days. War was breaking out in 3 different sectors. Old enemies who had been kept apart by human peacekeepers started fighting again. The Galactic Council, which had seemed so powerful and united, was falling apart. Ambassador Zethkri received an urgent message from his home planet. The screen showed his government's face strained with worry. Zethkri, our colony ships are stranded in deep space. The navigation systems have failed. We need the humans back. Now. Similar calls came from across the galaxy. The Vraks wanted their engines fixed. The Deltarians needed their defense grids restored. The Trilaxians discovered their mining operation on Kepler 442 was worthless without human precision tools. Everyone had the same question. When would Earth start talking again? Council leader Morden called an emergency session. Only half the usual representatives attended. The others were dealing with crises on their home worlds. We must face the truth, Morden announced. We made a terrible mistake. The humans weren't just members of our galactic community. They were its foundation. But they seemed so weak, protested General Vaxoon. They never fought anyone. They never demanded anything. That's exactly why they were strong, replied Dr. Krellin. They didn't need to fight. Every species in the galaxy needed them too much. Zethkri stood up slowly. I think I understand what Ambassador Chen meant now. What? When someone stops talking, start listening. We weren't listening before. We just assumed humans would always be there, always helping, always saying yes to whatever we decided. So what do we do now? Asked Admiral Thexori. We listen, Zethkri said, and we pray they'll forgive us. Outside the chamber windows, another alien cargo ship drifted helplessly in space, its human-built engines silent and cold. 1 month after the silence began, Council leader Morden made a decision that would haunt him forever. We cannot let one species hold the entire galaxy hostage, he declared to the emergency council meeting. Only 30 species attended now. The rest were too busy dealing with problems on their homeworlds. What do you propose? Asked General Vaxoon. His once proud uniform looked wrinkled and tired. We force them to return, Morden announced. We send the combined fleet to Earth. We make them restart the systems. We make them help us. Admiral Thexori shifted uncomfortably. Sir, we don't even know what's happening inside their solar system. Our probes can't get through. Then we send ships, big ships, enough to break whatever barrier they've put up. Dr. Krellin flickered with distress. This could be seen as an act of war. They declared war when they abandoned their responsibilities. Morden snapped. The humans have a duty to help us. We are the Galactic Council. Ambassador Zethkri stood up slowly. With respect, sir, I don't think this is wise. The humans have never been our enemies. Even now, they haven't attacked anyone. They don't need to attack, General Vaxoon said bitterly. They're killing us with kindness, or the lack of it. The vote was closer this time, 15 to 12 with 3 abstentions, barely enough to authorize the fleet. 2 weeks later, the largest military force in galactic history assembled at the edge of human space. 3,000 ships from 20 different species, battleships, carriers, destroyers, and assault vessels. Every major military power had contributed something. Admiral Korshin of the Trilaxian Navy commanded the fleet. He was confident. Humans had always been peaceful. They had never shown any real military strength. This would be easy. All ships, prepare for jump to Earth system, he ordered. 3,000 ships entered hyperspace together. What they found when they arrived changed everything. Sir, reported the sensor officer, his voice shaking, there's something around the entire solar system. On the main screen, a perfect sphere of energy surrounded all 8 planets and the sun. It glowed with soft blue light. No ship had ever built anything that large. Scan it, Korshin ordered. I can't, sir. Our sensors can't penetrate it. It's like it's not really there, but it is. Fire a warning shot at it. A beam of energy lanced out from the flagship. It hit the sphere and simply vanished. No explosion, no reflection. Gone. Sir, incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. The screen flickered and showed a human face, a woman in a simple white uniform. She looked tired but calm. Unknown vessels. You are approaching Earth space without permission. Please turn around. Admiral Korshin activated his transmitter. This is Admiral Korshin of the Galactic Council Fleet. We demand safe passage to Earth. We demand the restoration of galactic systems. We demand the immediate resumption of human cooperation. The woman on the screen raised one eyebrow. You demand? The galaxy is in crisis. People are dying. You have a responsibility to help. We had a responsibility to protect our people on Kepler 442, the woman replied quietly. You chose mining profits over human lives. Now you face the consequences. We will force our way through, Korshin threatened. You're welcome to try. The transmission ended. Korshin turned to his weapons officer. Fire everything at that barrier, full power. 3,000 ships opened fire at once. Energy beams, missiles, plasma cannons, gravity bombs. The combined firepower could have destroyed a small moon. Nothing happened. The barrier absorbed every attack like water soaking into sand. The sphere didn't even flicker. Again, Korshin shouted. They fired for 6 hours straight. The result was the same. Then the sphere began to pulse. Sir, something's happening, the sensor officer reported, panic in his voice. The space around the fleet began to twist. Ships that had been side by side suddenly found themselves scattered across hundreds of miles. Navigation systems went wild. Up became down. Left became right. What kind of technology is this? Whispered Admiral Thexori from her ship. Her answer came when space itself seemed to grab the Trilaxian battleship next to her and fold it like paper. The ship didn't break apart. It just changed shape. Its hull bent in impossible ways. The crew was unharmed, but their ship now looked like a twisted metal sculpture. More ships suffered the same fate. Some found themselves turned inside out but still functional. Others were stretched like rubber bands across space. A few simply stopped existing in normal space-time and reappeared several light years away. Retreat, Korshin finally ordered. All ships retreat. But they couldn't. The space around them had become like thick honey. Ships that could normally move faster than light now crawled at normal speeds. Then the voice came again, broadcasted to every ship at once. You came here to force us to help you, the human woman said. But force only works when you're stronger than your enemy. You never bothered to learn how strong we really are. Around the fleet, geometric shapes began to appear. Cubes and spheres and pyramids made of light. They moved through space in patterns that hurt to look at. We spent 200 years in your galaxy, the voice continued. We learned your science. We studied your technology. But we also learned things you never imagined. Things we discovered in our exploration of deep space. Things we found in dimensions you don't even know exist. One of the light shapes touched a Vrax destroyer. The ship simply vanished. Not destroyed. Not moved. It ceased to exist in this reality. Don't worry, the voice said gently. We sent them home. They're probably very confused, but they're safe. Ship after ship disappeared, not violently, gently, like someone picking up toys and putting them away. We could destroy you all, the human said. But that's not who we are. We're sending you home instead. Go back to your council. Tell them what you've seen. Wait, Admiral, Korshin broadcast desperately. We need you, the galaxy is falling apart. Yes, it is, the human agreed sadly. Because you never learned to take care of yourselves. You just got used to us taking care of you. The last thing the fleet saw was Earth itself, glowing peaceful and blue inside its protective sphere. Then they were elsewhere, scattered across the galaxy. Each ship found itself back at its home port, unharmed but humbled. The greatest military force in galactic history had been defeated without a single shot being fired in return. In the council chambers, Admiral Korshin gave his report to the terrified representatives. They're not the humans we thought we knew, he concluded. I don't think they ever were. Then what are they? Asked Morden, his voice barely a whisper. I don't know, Korshin admitted. But they're patient, they're kind, and they're more powerful than all of us combined. Outside the windows, another human-designed system failed, and the lights of another star system went dark. 3 months after the failed attack on Earth, the galaxy was dying. Not literally. The stars still shone, the planets still turned, but the civilization that had connected thousands of worlds was crumbling like an old building. Ambassador Zethkri walked through the empty halls of the council station. Half the diplomatic sections were closed. Many species had recalled their ambassadors to deal with problems at home. He passed the human embassy. The doors were sealed shut, but someone had written words on them. In dozens of alien languages, the same message: "Please come back, we're sorry." "Sir." Trillon hurried to catch up with him. "Another report from the outer systems." Zethkri sighed. There were always more reports, always more bad news. "Tell me." "The Epsilon colony is requesting emergency food aid. Their crops are failing without human agricultural technology. The Vrax home system reports civil unrest. 3. Different groups are fighting for control since the central government can't maintain communication with the outer planets. And the Trilaxians have completely abandoned their mining operation on Kepler 442. Zethkri stopped walking. "What? They fought so hard for that planet." "Yes, sir. But without human precision tools, they can't extract the minerals efficiently. It would take 50 years to mine what they wanted to get in 5. They're calling it a total loss." Zethkri felt tired. So tired. "What else?" "Sir, there's something new. Something strange." "Show me." Trillon led him to the main observation deck. Through the massive windows, space looked different. Wrong somehow. "Do you see it, sir?" Zethkri stared. Then he understood. "The stars. They're moving." "Not moving, sir. Disappearing. One by one." It was true. Stars that had been there yesterday were gone today. Not exploded, not burned out. Just not there anymore. "How many?" Zethkri asked quietly. 17 so far, all in the outer sectors. All systems where humans used to have research stations or colonies. Before Zethkri could respond, alarms began ringing throughout the station. "Emergency alert," the station's computer announced. "Object detected approaching from deep space. Massive energy signature. All ships prepare for possible evacuation." Zethkri and Trillon rushed to the command center. The main screen showed sensor readings that made no sense. "What is that?" asked General Vaxoon. He had been sleeping in the command center lately, too worried to return to his quarters. "Unknown, sir," reported the sensor officer. It's huge, the size of a moon. But it's not solid. It's made of some kind of energy. And it's heading straight for us." "Shields up. Weapons ready." "Sir, we can't. Most of our defense systems use human technology. We have basic shields only." The object appeared on visual sensors. It looked like a massive geometric shape made of shifting light. As they watched, it passed through a nearby asteroid belt. The rocks simply ceased to exist as it touched them. "Sir, incoming transmission." The screen flickered. To everyone's surprise, they saw a human face, but not a familiar one. This human looked different, older, wiser, and very, very sad. "Greetings, Galactic Council," the human said. "I am Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, Director of the Human Deep Space Research Initiative." Zethkri stepped forward. "Dr. Hayes, we're grateful for contact. We've been trying to reach Earth for months." "I know," she replied. "We've been watching. We've seen the chaos, the failing systems, the war starting again. Then you know we need your help," General Vaxoon said quickly. "People are dying. Civilizations are collapsing." Dr. Hayes nodded slowly. "Yes, and we're very sorry about that. But there's something more important you need to know." The screen changed to show images from space, stars going dark, planets disappearing. 3 months ago, our deep space monitors detected something approaching from outside the galaxy. We call it the Devourer. It's an ancient machine from a dead civilization. Its purpose is simple: consume everything to fuel its own expansion. Zethkri felt cold fear run through him. How do we stop it? You can't, Dr. Hayes said gently. Your weapons, your shields, your fleets can't even scratch it. We've run the calculations 1,000 times. But you can stop it. We can try, but it will require everything we have. Every human scientist, engineer, and soldier, every piece of technology we've developed over the past 2 centuries. General Vaxoon leaned forward. What do you need from us? Dr. Hayes smiled sadly. Nothing. That's the problem. You need us. But we don't need you. Not anymore. The truth hit the chamber like a physical blow. 200 years ago, we came to the galaxy hoping to make friends, Dr. Hayes continued. We wanted to learn from you, to grow together, to build something beautiful. You did, Zethkri protested. Look what we built together. No, Dr. Hayes shook her head. Look what we built for you. You never learned to stand on your own. You became children and we became your parents. But children need to grow up. She paused, her expression growing more serious. The Devourer will be here in 6 months. We can stop it, but only if we focus all our resources on the task. We can't simultaneously fight this ancient evil and maintain galactic civilization. So you're abandoning us? General Vaxoon demanded. No, we're forcing you to grow up. Fast. The screen showed new images, human ships emerging from the Sol system. But these weren't the peaceful research vessels or cargo ships the galaxy knew. These were ships that seemed to bend space around them, ships that glowed with impossible energy. We're sealing off the human colonies that are left, Dr. Hayes explained. We're pulling back all our people and technology. The galaxy will have to survive on its own systems for a while. For how long? Zethkri asked. If we succeed in stopping the Devourer, maybe a year, maybe 2. Long enough for you to remember how to take care of yourselves. And if you fail? Doctor, Hayes looked directly at him. Then it won't matter. The Devourer will consume everything anyway. She stood up, preparing to end the transmission. Wait, Zethkri called out. The people on Kepler 442, the ones you wanted back. Dr. Hayes paused. What about them? Are they safe? Some of them. The ones who chose to come to Earth when we left. The others. She shrugged sadly. The Trilaxians weren't gentle when they forced people off their homes. The weight of their mistake settled on the Council like a heavy blanket. We're sorry, Zethkri said quietly. We know we made a terrible choice. Yes, you did, Dr. Hayes agreed. But sorry doesn't bring back the dead. It doesn't undo the pain you caused. Then what can we do? Survive. Grow up. Prove that you learned something from this. The transmission began to fade. Dr. Hayes, Zethkri called out desperately. Will you come back? After you stop this Devourer? She looked at him for a long moment. Ask us again in 2 years. Show us that you've become the people we hoped you could be. Show us that you can govern yourselves without stealing from each other. And if we can, then maybe we can be friends again. Real friends. Equals. The screen went dark. Around the council chamber, representatives sat in stunned silence. Outside the windows, more stars disappeared, consumed by something ancient and hungry. And somewhere among the remaining lights, human ships flew toward a destiny that would determine the fate of everything. The galaxy was on its own. Ambassador Zethkri stood in the newly rebuilt council chamber. It looked different now, smaller. The floating platforms had been replaced with a circular table where all species sat as equals. No one species could outvote the others anymore. Leon, Kepler survivors have arrived, announced Secretary Yalara, a young Deltarian who had taken on coordinating refugee affairs. Zethkri nodded. They had spent 18 months tracking down every human who had been displaced from Kepler 442. Some had died during the forced relocation. Others had scattered across the galaxy. Finding them all had become the Council's most important mission. The chamber doors opened. 43 humans walked in. They were all that remained of the 3,000 who had called Kepler 442 home. Leading them was an elderly man with white hair and kind eyes. Zethkri recognized him from the old records. This was Tom Henderson, the farmer who had planted the first apple tree on Kepler. "Mr. Henderson," Zethkri said, standing up. "We've been searching for you for a long time." Tom looked around the chamber. His eyes were sad, but not angry. "I heard you rebuilt this place." "Yes, sir. After the Devourer crisis, we realized many things needed to change." Tom nodded slowly. "Where are the others? Sarah Chen? Dr. Hayes?" "Still fighting the Devourer, sir. The battle has been going on for 18 months. We've had no contact since they began their campaign." Through the chamber windows, they could see the edge of the galaxy. It flickered with strange lights where the human fleet fought something beyond imagination. "We brought you here to apologize," Zethkri continued. "Officially, completely, and to return your people to Kepler 442 if you'll have it." Tom's weathered face showed surprise. "Return to Kepler?" "The Trilaxians abandoned their mining operation completely. The planet has been empty for 2 years. We've spent that time fixing what was broken." Secretary Yalara activated a holographic display. Images of Kepler 442 appeared, showing green fields and crystal caves, just as they had been before. "We removed all the mining equipment," she explained. "We replanted the orchards using seeds we found in the old colonial records. We even rebuilt the houses exactly as they were." Tom stared at the images. Other Kepler survivors gathered around, tears in their eyes. "Why?" Tom asked simply. Council leader Morden, now much older and humbler, stood up. "Because we were wrong, because we valued profit over people, because we forgot that every colony, every family, every individual matters. It won't bring back the ones who died," Tom said quietly. "No, sir, it won't. Nothing can do that. But maybe it's a start." Before Tom could respond, alarms began ringing throughout the station. "Massive energy signature detected," announced the sensor officer. "Multiple ships approaching from the galactic edge." On the main screen they saw them. Human ships, but different from before. These vessels bore scars from battle. Some were half melted, their hulls twisted by unknown forces. But they were coming home. "Open communications," Zethkri ordered. The screen flickered to life. Dr. Elizabeth Hayes appeared, looking exhausted but alive. Behind her they could see other faces. Sarah Chen, President Martinez, thousands of humans who had fought something terrible in the dark between stars. "Council, station," Dr. Hayes said, her voice hoarse. "This is the returning human fleet. We're coming home." "Dr. Hayes," Zethkri said, relief flooding his voice. "The Devourer stopped. Destroyed. It took everything we had, but it's gone. The galaxy is safe." Cheers erupted throughout the chamber. Representatives from dozens of species celebrated together, but Dr. Hayes looked serious. "We lost a lot of good people, a lot of good ships. We're not the same species that left 2 years ago." "None of us are," Zethkri replied. "We've all had to grow up." Sarah Chen appeared on screen beside Dr. Hayes. She was older, with gray in her hair and new lines around her eyes. But she was alive. "Sarah," Tom Henderson called out from the chamber floor. "It's Tom Henderson. From Kepler." Sarah's tired face broke into a real smile for the first time in years. "Tom, dear God, Tom, you're alive. Mostly. We all are, the ones left. The council found us. They want to give us back our home." Sarah looked at the council representatives, her expression unreadable. "Do they now?" "The planet is yours again," Morden said formally. "Completely restored. No conditions. No mining rights, no interference, just home." "And the council?" Sarah asked. "Are you still voting to steal people's homes when it's profitable?" "No, ma'am," Zethkri answered. "The council itself barely exists anymore. We have a new system, now a federation, Every species gets equal representation. No one can outvote another. We call it the Galactic Cooperation Treaty. Dr. Hayes raised an eyebrow. Cooperation, not council. Cooperation, Zethkri confirmed. Because we learned that governing people and working with people are very different things. Sarah looked at Tom, then back at the screen. What do you think, old friend? Ready to go home? Tom smiled, the first real smile he'd shown since the crisis began. I think the apple trees need tending, and someone needs to teach these youngsters how to grow food that actually tastes good. Dr. Hayes chuckled. Then let's go home. All of us. The human fleet entered the Sol system, their energy barrier dissolving like morning mist. For the first time in 2 years, Earth was open to the galaxy again. But things were different now. Humans returned to their colonies and their jobs, but not as servants or caretakers. They came back as partners, equals. The galaxy had learned to stand on its own feet. Trade resumed, but with new rules. Technology was shared freely, but with respect for those who created it. Wars still happened, but they were resolved through mediation, not force. And on Kepler 442, Tom Henderson planted a new apple tree in the soil where the old one had been destroyed. This time, representatives from a dozen species came to watch and celebrate. The tree grew strong and tall, its roots deep in ground that belonged to those who loved it. The galaxy had learned that peace wasn't something you voted on. It was something you built together, one seed at a time. In the council chambers, now the cooperation chambers, a new motto was carved into the wall in every galactic language. Every voice matters. Every home is sacred. Every people have the right to choose their own destiny. And under it, in smaller letters, Sarah Chen's final words from that day long ago. When someone stops talking, start listening. The galaxy was finally learning how to listen, and humanity, at last, was home.